Hello, writers. I'm Josiane Fortin, and today I'm interviewing Rachel Richard. And Rachel is the self-published author of two books, Money Honey and Passive Income Aggressive Retirement. So it's going to be fun. We're going to be talking about money today. So thank you so much for being on the podcast, Rachel. And please tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, and thank you for having me. I'm a lot of things. I'm a former financial advisor, best-selling author, real estate investor, and what people find most intriguing about me is that last year at the age of 27, I quit my job and retired, and I'm now living off over $15,000 a month in passive income. So it's a lot of fun. My husband and I and our dog, we just moved out to Colorado earlier this year, so we love it here. We're having a blast, and yeah, that's a little about me.
All right, awesome. I want to hear more about that passive income.
Yeah.
So you've self-published two books. Are those part of your income streams or?
Yes. So we probably have 5 or 6 passive income streams now. The biggest one is our rental income. We own almost 40 rental units, all in Louisville, Kentucky, and we generally make 8 to 10 grand a month in profit from those. Then my book royalties are the next biggest. So I probably make an average of $5,000 in profit from my book royalties per month. Then I have my online courses, probably making 2 grand a month. And then the others are a lot smaller, real estate syndications and Fundrise and 1 or 2 other things.
Okay, so I have so many questions, but let's just follow my plan because I don't want to forget anything. So
Yeah.
why did you decide to write that first book that you have, which is Passive Income Aggressive Retirement? Why did you decide to write that?
Okay, so my first book actually is Money Honey. I wrote that
Okay.
one in 2017. And at that time, I had already been a financial advisor, and all my family and friends still came to me for financial advice, which I loved. I love to help people. I also began to wonder, well, why aren't they reading books or learning on their own? And then I realized, oh yeah, personal finance is boring, right? It's overwhelming, it's complicated. No wonder people don't like to learn about it. So I thought to myself, well, how can I make this topic fun, entertaining, and simple? And that's where the idea for Money Honey came from. So I sat down, I wrote it, the words flowed out of me. It ended up being a hit, I think, because it did make a boring topic fun and easy to learn.
Okay, awesome. And then you decided to write another one. What did you have to say about the topic that you didn't cover in the first book?
So Money Honey is really about the basics of money management, budgeting, savings, debt, and investing. In 2019, as I was preparing to quit my job, I started telling people I'm going to retire this year. I'm going to quit. I'm going to be financially independent. And so people were like, what on earth are you talking about? You're 27. Like, how are you doing this? And so I could tell there was a lot of interest, and passive income has really become a buzzword, I think, but I became obsessed with the topic. I wanted to learn all the different ways you could create passive income. So my second book, Passive Income Aggressive Retirement, outlines 28 different passive income models. So trust me when I say there's something out there for everyone.
All right. And how long did it take you to write both of those books?
So keep in mind too, I was working full time and we were managing our rental properties like on the weekends. So I was trying to write the books in the evenings. And I would say Money Honey, it took me 9 months, but I did take like a 4-month hiatus. So of active writing, 5 months to basically from blank paper to published book. And then Passive Income Aggressive Retirement, that one was a little more challenging because I started writing it in 2018, but really didn't dedicate any time to it. I only got serious about it in the summer of 2019, and I published it in November 2019.
And how did you find the process of self-publishing? Did you just go to Amazon and that's the only platform that you're using, or did you go to other platforms too? Like, was it easy? What did you learn?
Yeah. So I learned a ton. When I first started out, I was enamored with getting a traditional book deal. And I think a lot of people are, that's kind of what you think of when you think of a published author. So I started doing some research and I really realized a lot of things about traditional publishing that I had no idea. I was expecting that if you get a traditional publishing deal, they're going to do a whole marketing and promotion and launch plan for you. And then I started talking to authors who had been traditionally published and doing some research. And I realized that's not the case at all. And they actually still expect you to do 99% of the marketing and promoting. So I was like, well, why am I going to pay them all this money if I'm going to have to do all this work anyways? Because when you get a traditional publishing deal, you're normally going to get a 10 to 15% royalty on the book. With self-publishing, with Amazon, you can make 35 to 70% royalty.
Right.
So by that point, to me, it was a no-brainer. I specifically wanted to be on Amazon because it just has the best reach. There's millions of people. So if you want to get your books in front of people, I think that's the way to go. I am exclusive on Amazon. So I'm in the Kindle Select, what's it called? Whatever their exclusive Kindle program is, because you earn a higher royalty. So I'm not published on some of these other online platforms. So that's why I decided to stick with them.
Okay. And what was the hardest thing about becoming a self-published author?
This is a great question. So I told you that I took a hiatus writing Money Honey. And what happened is about 4 months into writing the book, all of my excitement fell away. And by then I had done a mental 180. I was telling myself things like, who do you think you are, Rachel, to write a book on finance? You're a young woman. Who's going to listen to you? And your writing is terrible. This is going to be an embarrassment. Those were the so I was really nice to myself, right? Those are the things I was saying to myself at the time. And I really let that self-doubt get to me. So I quit writing the book. I truly had no intention of ever picking it back up again. It wasn't until I sat down with a friend who I told her about the book. She said, Rachel, you're really onto something here. You have to finish what you set out to do. And she encouraged me to pick it back up. And I did. Luckily, I'm grateful for her. But in the end, the only reason I went through with publishing the book is because I told myself, if I can just help one person, that's all I want to do. And I'm glad I went through with it, because it took off. It has become such a success I never would have imagined. It has over 700 Amazon reviews now, and I've sold thousands and thousands of copies. But looking back, we have a name for it now, and I don't think we necessarily did back in 2017, but that's the imposter syndrome. When you feel like a fraud, you feel like you're not qualified, you're not good enough. That's what I was dealing with. And I really think that creatives and artists and authors, when you're putting a work out there to the public for the public to judge, that's a very vulnerable thing.
Yes.
And every author I've talked to has gone through that. They felt that vulnerability and that imposter syndrome. So for me, that was definitely the hardest part. It happened for both of my books, and I'm sure it will happen every time I launch a book. So it's just about having that expectation and just choosing to ignore it and push through anyways.
So it sounds like my next question, it was about like, what would be an advice that you would like to share with people who are looking to write their first book? So do you have any other advice that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think going back to imposter syndrome, just know it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you will feel that really scary feeling leading up to the launch. So I think expecting it can help, just knowing to ignore it. But the other thing too is surrounding yourself with supportive people. Because if my friend hadn't been there reassuring me and encouraging me, I probably wouldn't have ever launched Money Honey, and I wouldn't have ever started the business that I have now. So finding the right people who are not jealous, who are not going to bring you down, and instead are genuinely happy for you and want to see you succeed. I think that's really important in any author's journey.
Awesome. And so did you write the book prior to starting investing in rental properties, or was it the same time?
So a lot happened in 2017. We created several different passive income streams, but early that year, our first passive income stream was that we invested in our first duplex in Louisville, Kentucky. And then later that year is when I launched Money Honey.
Okay. And so now you are retired. How long has it been?
It's been a little over a year now.
Okay. And what does retired mean to you? Because obviously you're not just sitting home and not doing anything. Like, it sounds like you have a lot of projects going on. So what does it mean to you to be retired?
Yeah, I get that a lot where people are like, well, Rachel, you're not retired, you're still working. And that is true. The thing is, when some people retire, they want to do the beach thing or the golf thing or relax and whatever. And that's fine. I wish I could be like that. I just get bored really easily. So I always have to have something to work on. But the beautiful thing about retirement for me, I use the words retirement and financially independent interchangeably. So now it's about working when, where, and if I want. And I'm so fortunate that I've created a business that's extremely fulfilling to me. I love teaching women and young people about financial literacy. So all the projects I have going on, it doesn't even feel like work to me. It's fun. So that's how I like to spend my time now.
Okay, awesome. And I also wanted to know, how do you promote your books?
Okay, so I do a few things now, and I wasn't able to do a ton when I was working full time because I just didn't have the time. Money Honey, I made a mistake early on where if you have a cuss word on the cover of your book, you cannot advertise it on Amazon. You can list it for sale on Amazon, but you can't do paid ads. Same with Facebook. You can't do Facebook ads if there's a cuss word. My book is Money Honey, a simple 7-step guide for getting your financial bleep together. So that's why I can't list it. I've been very fortunate, though, that it has done extremely well organically, and it continues to sell without any paid advertising.
But do you
I
know
would
how
say
people find it on Amazon? Like, how do they
I
how do
think
they find it?
once your book reaches a level of success where you have sold so many and it's done so well, it's naturally going to appear at the top in search results. I mean, you do have to do things like make sure you have good keywords, make sure it's listed in good categories. So there's things you can tweak on Amazon. You make sure your book description is strong and your cover is enticing. You definitely have to have all that. But I do think a lot, like hundreds of people find me organically on Amazon. In terms of actual promoting that I do, though, I do a lot on social media. So I'm big on Instagram and Facebook. I have an email list, so I'm constantly emailing my email list with deals and offers, and just value added, educational fun. And the big thing I did after I quit my job is I started to get on podcasts a lot. And I started doing a lot more news interviews, radio interviews, TV interviews, because then I had the time. But what I love about podcasting is that it's a win-win because the host and the guest can cross promote to their audiences. The hardest thing with the book is, how am I going to continue to get in front of new people? And so that's what you have to think of. You can't really do that with social media or your email list. So it's about, how do I continue to get in front of new people? And I think podcasting is the best way to do that.
Okay, that's a good way to do it. And I also wanted to know any tips that you have on getting more reviews on Amazon, because you said you have like thousands of reviews. So how did
Yes.
you do that?
First, I'm simply just not afraid to ask. So when I launched Money Honey, there were tons of people that were excited to buy the book and that were ready to go. So I individually messaged everyone I knew who bought a copy or who shared it or who even said a kind word about it. And I said, hey, leaving a review would be a huge help during my launch. Would you be able to take 2 minutes and leave a review on Amazon? So I think even on day one of my launch, I had like 60 reviews or something like that. Secondly, when I first started out my email list, I wasn't really doing anything with it. So I just had an automated email sequence that when someone signed up, it would just ask them for a review 2 times over the course of a month. And it would say, hey, can you help me out? Can you leave a review? And I got a ton of reviews that way. And I think that's probably the main thing, is just don't be afraid to ask, because if someone loves you and loves your book, they want to help you. And I think a lot of authors are afraid to ask because they feel like you're bothering them or you're nagging them or you're pushing them. But I found that to not be the case as long as you approach them in a genuine way.
Okay, that's a good advice. And what other writing projects are you currently working on?
I'm thinking about several things. I'm one of those people, I always have so many ideas and not enough time, as I'm sure everyone else feels that way too.
I
I
feel
wish I
that
could,
way for sure.
yeah, I wish I could clone myself. So I'm not actively working on something right now, but my audience has definitely made it clear that they want to hear more about real estate investing. That's what they're interested in. So I'm thinking about in 2021, either launching a real estate investing course or my third book will be about real estate investing. So that's what I'm considering right now.
So I think that's a great topic for your next book.
Thank
You so
you.
much
Yeah.
for being on the show. And if people want to know more about you, how can they find you on the internet?
Well, thank you so much for having me. If anyone wants to buy my books, they're called Money Honey and Passive Income Aggressive Retirement. They're on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audio. You can follow me on Instagram at moneyhoneyrachel. And what I would love to do for your audience is if anyone wants to download my passive income starter kit, I will give that for free. And you can go to moneyhoneyrachel.com/bonus to download that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. It was very interesting, and I'll make sure to share all those links in the comments.
Thank you.